Don't get it twisted, it may be the last game that we have for tonight, but it has huge implication for the Knights. They play for 3 points, potentially tying in second place with their opponents, IG. Do we feel like there is any hope for that storyline to follow through, Raven?
Look, I think IG certainly have a really strong chance here. They've been looking really good all stage, and I think they would be backing themselves in to be able to take this against the Knights. I think the Knights certainly showed a really good effort last week in terms of how they can show up, but IG is a whole other beast.
They are, but this beast is turning into something a little bit more formidable than what we originally thought, Dev. Is there going to be enough weight? Is there going to be enough?
Look, there's a lot on the line. We know that for sure. Second place through fifth place, none of those teams are locked in for playoffs yet, and that includes both IG and the Knights. Knights are currently in fifth. If they win this, then I'm pretty sure that may well close to lock them in, if not guarantee them in for playoffs. IG definitely will be locked in should they come away with 3 points from this match. So there is no doubt about it. A lot riding on this one. Knights, though, they have been very hit and miss. They've had some very questionable losses and some huge wins as well. IG are basically undefeated aside from the forfeit that they had to do against Direwolves. So if anything, I think people are looking at IG and thinking, maybe this is the best team that we've got in APAC South right now. They just haven't had a chance to prove it against Direwolves.
Well, we'll have to wait and see for playoffs. I mean, that's really where all our eyes are glued to at the moment, and on Mentalist apparently. But let's move over to the Knights, start talking about them, Raven, because really it's been increment improvements in the fact that they are kind of on week showing us something a little bit more, something that we'd really hoped for this roster back at the end of 2021. But this year, maybe it's going to take this first stage just to continue to build a solid foundation.
Yeah, definitely the win against Chiefs was certainly a really good step forward for Knights. So it's something about incremental progress, right? When you make roster changes, sometimes it all clicks and goes really well. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. And I think for Knights, you know, they've had a couple of rough games this stage, but they've had a couple of really good ones. And yeah, again, I think that match against Chiefs in particular was quite good. Sage, definitely a standout. I think we spoke about that earlier in the night as well. So I think this could be a really interesting matchup against IG. You know, if the right Knights kind of shows up, I think this could be a very close game.
The right Knights on the right night might be what it takes to defeat the White Knight in IG. I tell you what, that was a mouthful, but we got there in the end. Speakeasy, really, that is the big conversation, Dev, is the fact that we've seen, you know, Speakeasy from IG just continue what was an incredible performance from 2021. I mean, this player has really just continued to improve upon what was already a solid performance.
Yeah, Speakeasy hands down the best player in APAC South right now, maybe the best player in APAC. He's got a 1.48 rating, which is above Nate at 1.33. So he's 0.15 above the next closest. He's also number 1 for KD, number 1 for Cost. Overall, this team is, IG specifically, not Knights, really dominating the standings in terms of the leaderboards for players. That said, I can actually say the same for Knights. They have a couple of players appearing. Stiggs is actually the top-rated player for entry KD.
Big.
Funnily enough, despite often playing supportive roles as well, he's also up there number 3 for costs, and we've got Sage on as well in a couple of these clutches, and KD as well. So we've seen a lot of good stuff from Knights too.
Listen here, and I quote, "Tonight's game against IG is a special one. It's time to prove everyone wrong and show you all what this team is made of." That is from the man on your screen right now, Stiggs. Apparently, we couldn't be more prepared for the game at hand. Realistically, how much preparation is it going to take from Knights, Raven? Because this is no small task.
Yeah, and look, it's also tough because IG are obviously a very new roster, so it's hard to prep. Like, they can only really watch the VODs from this stage, to be completely honest, for accurate preparation. But you never know, there's multiple ways around that. You can prep for like a team's patterns, playstyle. You can even just, obviously you're going to prep for the map veto, but regardless, like, there's multiple ways to prep for a game like this. I would say that Knights have probably just gone and worked on their own gameplay. It's not just one thing to counter your opponents, it's also to make sure that you deliver on what you can deliver on. So yeah, look, I think it's definitely set the stage. Seeing that tweet from Stigs, it makes me even more excited for this game.
Well, being prepared, you'd have to imagine, would come down to the veto process as well. So let's have a look if it's unfolded in favor of the Knights or whether it is going to be mutual territory. Chalet is where we head, Dev.
Yeah, it's in fact not a map that we've seen Knights play as of yet. Just looking at some of the bans come out, having a bit of a scan. Interesting to see Skyscraper was the first ban by Knights. That we saw a great showing when IGB Elevate on that. Border banned out by Knights. They got slapped by Elevate on that map. Good thinking. Cafe, don't have a lot of info on Cafe for either team, to be honest, but historically a good IG map. So yeah, fair enough that Knights want to take us to Chalet, but it's something that they have hidden for quite some time. Haven't played it since September when they beat Order, a bit of a throwback there. And prior to that, they lost to Q-Confirm, the now Fury roster. So historically not an amazing map for this team. And for IG, they played a whole bunch. They played it at 6 Invitational qualifiers, recently lost it to Cyclops in the 6 Invitational qualifiers, and it was where they failed to make it to SI. So both of these teams are a map that they haven't played recently.
Is this an ace up the sleeves, Raven?
Hard to say. It kind of feels like it. Certainly feels like there's going to be fairly even footing for these teams on Chalet. It's hard to say whether I give the advantage to Knights just because we haven't seen much from them on Chalet. But often if a team lets it slip through and they haven't played much of it, there's obviously the assumption that they've been working on it and it's something they've been saving for a big game. This is certainly a big game. If they can take down IG in a regular points win to get 3 points on the board, it would be absolutely massive for Knights.
It really has been a story of David versus Goliath for the last 2 matches. Dire Wolves really, and the wildcard storyline. Should wildcard have actually pulled out the dub there, the 3 points, that would have gone up to 9. Things would have been a little bit different to how they are now. But this one in particular, James, has... it feels weird saying your full name on broadcast, but it does feel like there are some implications that do surround the Knights. If they're unable to get anything here, a point, 2 points, 3 points, I believe that may well be them locked out.
Well, considering that Knights' next game is Direwolves, I think that's probably a safe bet. And Knights have the hardest task ahead of them that they have had all season long. Today against IG, next week against Direwolves. So yes, absolutely. If they don't get points tonight, they can pretty much kiss their playoffs hopes goodbye. But if they can get the 3 points, they are all but confirmed for playoffs. There's only a really unlikely scenario that could potentially play out that would lock them out. So that's absolutely hands down what Knights need to be gunning for. Full 3 points against IG.
Well, we're going to see whether Knights can pull a rabbit out of the hat, whether IG are this super team that we continue to talk about. And to take you through 2 of the favourites, of course, it's Xenox and Guz up in the peanut gallery. We'll see in a bit.
Yeah, a lot on the line here for both of these 2 teams. Obviously, it's been prefaced many times over, still technically undefeated for IG coming into this one. But I think the Knights will be a good test for them, guys. A team that has continued over the course of this stage to maybe just get that little bit better each time. They obviously knocked off the Chiefs. Can they knock off IG?
Yeah, this is a huge game. The amount of permutations that can evolve from the result of this game and the playoff implications with that, it's pretty extensive, so it can be a little bit overwhelming. But for both teams, obviously the goal, like any match, get the full 3 points. That will put yourselves in the best position to get inside of the playoffs. And yeah, this is the big one. I think if the Knights really show what they're made of in this game, they can really take it up against IG, who outside of the forfeit are also undefeated.
So we got apparently a small little second here, so I'm going to bring out the Xenox super fun fact that I brought out in the green room, Guz, which is looking at some of the possible playoff implications, especially with the conclusion here of Playday 6, then going into Playday 7. So if the Knights win here, if they get all 3 points, Guz, which maybe they're not favorites to do so, but it's not entirely impossible. It means for the Chiefs to get into the playoffs, they will have to win their game against IG. Now, what does that mean? It means IG got 2 L's to close out the season, and guess what? They will miss out on playoffs. So they too need to look at this game in that kind of light, where it's not necessarily do or die, but there's a lot riding on it as we head to Chalet, IG versus the Knights.
Big implications, big match, 2 big teams duking it out here on Chalet, and both with playoff aspirations. Their story won't conclude necessarily at the end of the night, but they can half-etch their name, I guess, in history into the playoffs, especially Invictus, if they are able to get the full 3 points this evening.
I just wanted to listen to the music. It was pretty banging. Felt like we're in some sort of movie there for a second. Back to Flores, banned out. Okay, pretty stock standard and normal. The biggest thing is Chalet, guys. We had the boys on the desk break it down. Neither of these two teams known for their chalets, and maybe times gone by, Chalet hasn't necessarily been an amazing map for IG, but that was the older IG, right? So you kind of throw all of that out of the window anyway. What do we make of it? Is it neutral territory for these two teams?
Yeah, I wouldn't be ready too much to the map that we've actually ultimately headed towards. Yeah, I honestly, you've kind of thrown me under the bus.
You could just say yes, it's neutral territory. Both teams aren't going to be.
Well, look, I was trying to expand upon the point maybe a little bit to create an engaging storyline, but I'm clutching at straws here.
Just didn't feel like it. No.
Oh, I wanted to. I'm just not good enough.
All right. Well, that was a bit sad. I think you're amazing, mate.
Well, we haven't seen either team play this map.
That's true. That's true.
This stage. So I guess you've answered your own question.
Thank you.
It is quite neutral.
The passive aggressiveness from you guys.
I wasn't even meant to. There's a lot of times I'm trying to be passive aggressive. Honestly, that was not one of them.
I love you. All right, let's head into Chalet. It's our final match of the night. And as I mentioned before, pretty big one for both teams. Now, just quickly, if the Knights do lose here, they're not out of top 4. It's not like that's it. Top 4 secured for our teams. But it'll be a very, very difficult task because they do play Direwolves in Playday 7, who will be now going for 7 wins from 7 games. So that's a tough match. If they are to make top 4, guys, I'm saying it, they need to win this game.
Yep, I would agree. And full 3 points as well would be very, very handy, I think. I don't know if that is a significant bump up in their chances compared to 2. I'm sure you'll be able to confirm that pretty swiftly. But
sorry, what'd you say? I wasn't listening.
An OT win versus a regulation win.
Oh, for this game tonight, an OT win, it's not bad, but it's probably not what they're looking for. The reason why is the 11 points, the 3 points they would get would put them on 11 points, which is tied with IG, and then obviously you'd have the tiebreaker. So if you only get the 2, then you're not beating out IG. So ideally the 3 points here, otherwise 2 points means they're going to have to get something from the Direwolves game on Playday 7.
Not bad from you. I've trained you well.
Now, this is the Jigsaw corner for those aren't aware. And this is where also... No, but like seriously, this is where sometimes when you've had these roster shuffles, Jigsaw is known for his Chalet, especially that corner outside piano. Plays it extensively back when he was on Team Bliss, guys. So, you know, you add those kind of like thought processes into it. And it's like, hang on a second, maybe Invictus had got something here. With Jigsaw being able to play that position, can Knights deal with him? That's a lot of pressure on a very powerful spot.
Stokes with a powerful position himself, up above looking to sweep across, being droned ahead currently by Speakeasy, and that's a sentence that previously we probably wouldn't say all that often, Speakeasy droning in the entries, but that has been the sort of role shuffle that Invictus have committed to, and can't really fault the results thus far. As previously mentioned, they've only lost, I guess, 1 game in quotation marks so far in the stage, and that was due to a forfeit outside of their control, really. So they are, in a sense, going for the unofficial record of undefeated stage as well.
Does that mean we can have 2 teams undefeated?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Minute left in the round, by the way. This has been not one to sort of look back on. It is a standard bar game. Stiggs just randomly peeks back up top library stairs, find the elimination onto Hysterics. The fact that that shield is still there, though, is probably concerning for Invictus. It allows Stiggs to even make that kind of play, get through to the Maverick. Now they got an advantage, and suddenly you've still even got this library shield as well. So this is still very well defended for the Knights right now. IG are going to have to pull something out of the hat.
Time dwindling. Stiggs with a second in this round over towards Library Stairs, posting up that position so nicely. Speakeasy denied on the vault by Sage. Still in that southwest corner of Library itself. Jigsaw responds, but at this point, too little too late. 10 seconds left. Stiggs bops up for a third. And now Nate over towards Fireplace to try and bring something back. He gets a kill, but he hasn't really got time. And Sage from above will shut him down.
I love me some Nate. He's been really good since joining Invictus, and I think a player that many have looked over. Was great when he came in for Order. Just couldn't obviously do much there. No time. Damage has been done. Full credit to the Knights though. A well-defended round. Do have to ponder sort of what took Invictus so much time in doing a pretty standard sweep across over towards top Library Stairs. And they just struggled. They couldn't even get that shield down top Library. That then allows Stiggs to get that elimination onto Hysterics. If that shield's not there, you can't really make that play. I mean, you can. It's a lot riskier though, right? So you probably don't end up doing it. You play a little bit more conservative. Big round win for the Knights to open up here at Chalet, but it is only one round. It is only the first round. You know, you think back to Wildcard versus Direwolves, and those first two rounds for Wildcard, they were on cloud 9, and by the end of it, they were in the bottom of the basement and crying in the corner. So things can change, guys, very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Positive signs though, and I think particularly Stiggs posting up 3 kills in that round total. A really strong performance from him. Clearly one of the standout players as of recent for the Knights squad. And despite, particularly on attack, sometimes filling more of a supportive role, still really strong entry stats. So looking at him today to continue to stand out as a performer for the Knights, and when he's feeling himself and performing well, I think the rest of the team, he'll sort of be able to pull them along as well.
Glad you touched on that, Stiggs. Of course, on the old social medias earlier this afternoon, wanted to prove everyone wrong. And apparently tonight's going to be a special one. So that's the fighting words from Stiggs and the Knights coming into this game. And I like that though. I think it's good to feel confident in your team. That backs up against the wall, us against them mentality. As long as it works for them, I think that's perfect. If that's what you feel like is needed for your team to succeed, then by all means go for it. And evidently, good start for Stiggs, and clearly they're fired up for this game, and that's what they need to be. So good start. It's about now being able to do it for the entire game.
100%. Siege is a marathon, not a sprint. Even in a best of 1. But still a long way to go. IG looking to respond. A bit of a sloppy first round in util clearance. Looking to get aggressive though in the second. Quick entry from Mentalist over towards Library, facilitated by drone information. Player over towards the staircase. Does retreat. Mentalist gets the default. Can now post up in this position.
Of course, kitchen dining, but a pretty standard vertical hold up above here from the Knights. So far, nothing too crazy here on Chalet from either of these two teams. Well, the Knights not too pressed in terms of being able to defend Office extensively. It's actually Juicy on site, really trying to make maybe life hard for Hysterics, as the shock drone actually gets rid of the Kaid Claw there, and that's basically going to make things a lot easier now for Invictus in opening up this wall. Juicy, though, is, of course, the outlier here. If he can be annoying, maybe find a kill or two, that can really slow things down.
Well, he found an exothermic with the impact. Still have 1 in pocket, so maybe Juicy can play off a huge play. The second goes out, finds its mark, I believe. That's both exothermics burnt, and that's the chance of Invictus opening the wall promptly, going down the drain. Now they'll need to rely on Hysterics with the blowtorch. This is going to take a lot of time, a lot of patience, but they don't have that currency. Only 35 seconds remaining. Juicy over-aggresses though. 4v5.
I think he wanted to try and make a play there off the back of making the earlier said plays with the nades, getting rid of the exothermic. And well, for Knights, they've still got a somewhat vertical hold above as well. Invictus not really clearing out a whole lot of office and bedroom. And Stiggs, nice from West Main. Lovely angle. Josh as well. Suddenly, Knights being able to get a couple of shots back. Sage ends up just trying to knife the bomb chassis. That doesn't help. You need to get the shots out. Nate gets hit rid of him. And suddenly, Invictus pull back. Only Stiggs remains in a 1 versus 3. Lowhowl trying to deny the plant. Gets rid of Nate. He's on the floor now. Can't deny plant. Gets rid, though, of Nate, who did, of course, go down. But a nice little angle hold. Invictus take the second round.
Yeah, really good recovery effort there from IG. Once both exothermics were burnt and the wall wasn't getting opened, at least promptly, it started to look like their chances of winning that round were dwindling. And I think statistically and just objectively sitting back, their chances were against them. I don't think they were favored to be able to close out that round, but then Juicy aggressed, Nate made a play elsewhere. And in the space of a couple of seconds after that util was dealt with, I mean, it flipped on its head.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
We had the
bombs.
snow wine for the third round here, guys, and of course, I don't think yourself and myself have really done much Chalet since this has become a thing. That's what I want to say. We've seen it a lot, though, of course, here in Stage 1, Snow Wine becoming more of a played site. Ultimately, though, I'm not sure if it's validity yet. Is it really worth going to for the defenders? You mentioned that in the past, especially, attackers have been generally able to take this site quite comfortably, but the stats kind of say in recent times that hasn't quite been the case.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, Chalet is certainly in a bit of a strange position at the moment. Quite intrigued to see how basement plays out because, again, I just... The strength of the West main push and the ability to really flush out a lot of positions and prevent retakes is so powerful. You combine that with some pressure from the snowmobile garage and you just cannot move anywhere as a defender without getting cut off by someone. So how are IG going to approach this? They have double hard breach, Maverick already working that snowmobile wall. Jigsaw's are applying pressure over towards this West main position, indicating we'll see some presence on this side of the map. And Speakeasy shuts down Stigs. Now, I don't know where that Oryx was. Looks like maybe double window over towards bedroom. And that's a big scalp. Stigs clearly in form at the moment. And now the Knights are severely disadvantaged for the remainder of this round.
Speakeasy is quite low, though, right? So, yes, it's not the one-for-one trade that you would so desire. I like the talent shield here from Nate watching in now.
Double trouble.
Yeah, you just go from one to the other. It also means that you can play two people here watching in and being quite annoying. How does the Knights play into this? You've chosen the site. You clearly done so for a reason. Now, Snow Wine, if you are going to play it, typically in the past, it's all about the roam game up above and forcing Invictus to clear out said roamers. And of course, they already got rid of one. Arguably, they aren't numero uno in terms of roamers in Oryx. They did so very quickly. Speakeasy does still need to be careful. All it takes is one swing, one bullet, and dead.
IG not over-aggressing here. They know they have the advantage, and if they can flush out Josh, the round is unofficially theirs, but it's just being able to find this pick, isolate this defender. I don't know if there's much support elsewhere. In fact, there actually is. Quiz up above, but Jigsaw, he's not afraid, pushes through. Quiz taken down. Two mentals had a read on that. And the round, like I said, now unofficially over.
Yeah, and some very slight concerns now for the Knights here, unless this ends up being an attacker-sided Chalet, which historically has always been the case, but in recent times, defenders have been doing a better job here. Flawless round, though, for Invictus, and so far, besides Bar Games in the opening round, they've been the better team, clearly. And question marks now asked of the Knights that are they capable of winning outside of Bar Games, which is where they're going to be heading back to now for the fourth round. So fail on Kitchen Dining, fail on Snow Wine. Of course, success on Bar Games, where they head back to, and will need to win if they are to force the 2-2 scoreline.
Last time we saw this site played and the Knights got the dub, a lot of that hinged on top library stairs. The deployable shield was not destroyed by Invictus, and Stigs in particular was able to abuse that and found 3 kills in the opening round. So the U2 game often is pretty impactful on this particular objective, but more so IG being able to tidy up that mistake from last time. If they clear that shield, how do the Knights respond? What does their win condition then become? They did admittedly still have good control, particularly in through library, for example, on that round. So it wasn't all hope is lost if that shield did actually get dealt with, but it could well apply a little bit more pressure on this defense, and we'll see whether or not the Knights crack.
And remembering no Wamai as well, so the fact that those shields stayed up for as long as they did is, yeah, it was strange and it was concerning for IG, but can't imagine them making that same sort of mistake twice in a row. I think a lot of the times for teams attacking bar games. They're able to get rid of those shields probably with 70 seconds or so left in the round, enough time to then get library control, have that vert control above games, and then obviously go for the play. You can obviously then also have players playing big window, look for that jump in and get that plant down at the half wall. And whereas they were slow going in the first round as well for Invictus, too. I think big factor. Whereas, at least in rounds 2 we've seen they've improved their time management a little bit, especially in the earlier portions of these rounds. They're getting opening kills. They're forcing the Knights to defend earlier. Whereas that first round, it went towards the end of the round, and then Knights were like, all right, let's see if we can make a play. Stiggs goes up top library, finds a couple of kills. And Mentalist just walks into dining, but there was a player waiting. They trade.
Bit of a peculiar trade, but that's what the server says, so that's what we go with, 4v4. Stiggs over towards top library stairs still, shield standing. IG yet to really claim much of a stake in towards the map itself, but Hysterics will now link up down below. There is a ping. Have the Knights tried to retake this position? I don't think so. Oh, Sage. He was tucked away. Hysterics had about as much of a clue as I did and pays the price. Knights with the advantage now.
Can they capitalize though? Sage is low on health, but that's fine. Here on the defense, having the extra player, you would rather. We can speak easy to on the Nook. Down below, going for a flank. Eventually looking to go in towards bar. Minute 18 seconds remaining. Still gas babes available for Stiggs here, and this is where Knights can look to deny time, and a lot of it. I think IG really changing up the approach here, probably shaping up for more of a bars push rather than looking to get games control through library. I think they've run out of resources and ran out of time.
$50 seconds now. Knights in a great position. Even out the scoreline, but Speak Easy, so dangerous. Drops Quiz. A response from Stiggs there. The canister up above. That's his last. Forced to retreat down below. Sage low on health on site. Juicy probably in the best position to make a play.
Jeez, just look at the right-hand side of the screen though. Both Stiggs and Sage flashing red and white in health. They are so low. Juicy inside of games is just wondering, where do I even position at this point? Where are they all? 20 seconds left, and it's hard to know where IG is going to strike. I would have to imagine it's more so through bar, although never mind. They've actually got library control. They can now drop down into games. Juicy needs to be watching this hatch. He cannot take his eyes off of it. There will be player, at least one, dropping down. Candelas have been used from Nate, so you can't use that to then drop down, make it easier. And speaking of easy, Speak Easy goes down too easy, but then shots go the other way. Knights hold on though, through sheer time rather than anything else. A little messy towards the end of the round. Full credit to IG for getting back into it. Knights though, again, bar games, pretty decent defense, and they get their second round win on it.
Yeah, the Knights, much like last time, doing a great job in denying time. Super close in the dying couple of seconds there. As you can see, that timer tick down. There's only 2 defenders remaining, both so low on health, but IG unable to drop down into particularly that half wall plant, and with Juicy in that backstore position not dealt with. The Knights had the percentage leaning their way, and they made it work. Good stuff. It is the only site they've won though, so now we need to see them win a different objective here. If Chalet ends up becoming incredibly attacker-sided and Knights ultimately only win one objective once, or a single objective twice rather, it's not going to work out. Yeah, I mean, the numbers just don't add up. So now the Knights have 2 shots. I think they're not quite free shots, but they're close enough to free shots where they can play with a bit of confidence and try really hard to get this third round on the board in this first half.
If we think back to Kitchen Dining in the second round, they were playing it pretty well until Juicy got a little bit overzealous with trying to deny that dining wall from being opened up. I mean, he actually did deny it, and then it's like, okay, the Maverick gets forced into action to try and open it up as both exothermics got denied, and then he just peeks one of the holes and just gets downed immediately, and that really turned the tide, because then your forward front player in dining goes down, and suddenly it opens it up for the site to be taken, and then that's basically what it ended up losing them the round. We'll see how they play it out here. And the other part of it as well, if we think back, Invictus did not really get much. Oh, that's smart. I mean, you know Jigsaw's going to be wanting to go up into his position, see if he can get some free damage and maybe a down. Got a lot of the damage. But you think back to the last time we saw this, and IG did not really establish that much vert control either. It was a pretty bare bones dining take from down below.
And it was with a double failed exothermic attempt by the Thermite. And IG, in fact, in this attempt, are not bringing the Thermite at all. Instead, it's the Mav Habano. That may suggest we'll see a bit more vert here. I don't know if necessarily that will be the play, but we'll see. Hysterix is currently working the blowtorch somewhere. I can only presume that is down below, directly in towards dining. And maybe there'll be some pressure up above. But no, it is actually Hysterix up above. So looking to push Office here. So a slight change of attacking pattern here from IG.
Well, it may not necessarily be a full push, though. I think we saw him do this in the second round as well. Opened up, you know, the pretty standard kind of little walk through in towards Office. And that was about it. Some sight lines. Just make it really difficult for the defenders to sort of be in Office and have that position, because obviously anyone playing the mezzanine window can then look in towards Office. And I will say they are doing a better job at trying to clear out this position. I mean, we are seeing them try and clear out Knights from Office a little bit more aggressively than last time, but only a minute remaining on the clock, and I'm kind of anticipating still that drop down to take place, and it does. Oh!
Wow. Okay. Now 50 seconds left. IG poising themselves once more for this take through Fireplace. Knights will need to lean into a lot of these long angles. Sage, for example, once again on the Warden. Going to be critical as the smokes go out late round to facilitate the plant. Important to note, the diffuser up above, IG will need to juggle that back down below. Still looking to apply pressure, deny that vert from the defense. It is collected. Mentalist to drop down, and with 25 seconds left, IG will poise for this take.
Yeah, and again, once again, IG don't go for the full take. They just put the pressure on the site rather than trying to overtake it and overwhelm up above, and putting more of their time and effort in making sure that they can get in towards dining. They've already dealt with Juicy as well, so they've got the advantage. They can start to throw bodies at the site even if they need to. Oh! That's not ideal though. Speak easy. Yes, you're a bit of a fragger, but don't frag your teammates. That gives Knights an opening, one that they will happily take, and there was no time left anyway. Time definitely an issue. For the most part, I don't think the idea and the execution of what IG were trying to achieve was all that horrible, but yeah, time got away from them.
Every round they've lost so far, time has gotten away from them. It has been their biggest enemy. In fact, I believe that's the second round officially in this match thus far that has actually been determined by time, where it's expired and the defenders then, as a result, win. And even the third that they lost, and that the Knights won, it wasn't directly time, it was indirectly time, where they didn't have enough of an opportunity to get in towards the side and have much of an impact. So, good work. I think the Knights are fighting really, really hard thus far.
Defenders, protect your
And
bombs from being defused by
that's the
attackers.
round they need. Now this, if the last round wasn't directly a sort of a free shot on house money, this one definitely is. I think the Knights at the moment, they would take a 3-3, anything more than that bonus. So they get a second crack down below. Last time they attempted this side, it was a little bit of a disaster. So we'll see if they can tidy it up.
Stig 7-2 now, having a tremendous performance on Chalet, but it's a team effort for the Knights so far on the defense. And look, it hasn't been the best. Siege, guys, not exactly to Titans playing out at a 100% proficiency, but sometimes the best matches of Siege come down to the gritty nature and just the scrappy nature of rounds, where, you know, time becomes a factor and, you know, everything's a little bit messy and chaotic, and it's great for us to sort of sit back and watch it. And I think for the Knights, this is the kind of game where it's actually good to bring Invictus into that kind of game style, really. You do not want IG to be running around and being flawless and clean and methodical. You want to bring them into a bit of a dogfight, and I think that's going to play into the hands of Knights here, and that's why they've got this lead here to close out the first half.
Two shields outside from Nate. Those Allen shields are going to offer a lot for the team. It did last time. Cut off rotations and suffocated the Knights, particularly in the late round, and offered no opportunity for them to get back into the round. Oh, Hysterix, he misses the blowtorch. The wall not opened. He was taken down. The res may be achievable, but nonetheless, another good start for the Knights.
Smart from Nate, though. Doesn't just rush over and then go down as well.
The res from
Waits.
Thinker.
Yeah, waits for the adrenal surge. So Mentalist gets back up. Hysterics. And Speakeasy, though, goes down to Josh. There is a trade, though, through Mentalist, so at least it's 1-for-1. Although never ideal to lose Speakeasy, let alone when he's playing the Habana. And that's a hard breacher off the board, and one that's, well, pinned down and low health. Juicy, though, goes down to Nate, having a quietly massive game, by the way, Gus. 8-2 if you've missed that one.
Flown under the radar, perhaps a little bit. Such is the nature of Nate, a little bit elusive. Sometimes inside the server, had a standout performance though last week, and continuing that momentum, Mentalist, he'll shut down Stigs. Once again, the Knights on this basement objective being suffocated out by their opponents. Sage forced to make a play, shut down. They're still making this breach work somehow, and Nate maybe might be able to find another, but Quiz 0-5 will fall back. Needs to find 4 in this round to stand any chance at extending this lead. He does find 1. Needs to make it 3 more though.
Well, you did say 3-3 would be something the Knights would take. Easier to say that, though, when you're not in a position to get 3-3, but when you're in that position to go for a 2-4 half, they would be kicking themselves here for letting this one get away from them. Snow White has not worked out for them at all.
Attackers have located a
Quiz, well, he gets caught out by Jigsaw, and Invictus will close out the half with the round win to force a 3-3 scoreline here on Chalet going into the second half. A lot on the line. Knights, though, job done, guys. They got the 3 rounds. Can they continue on, though, now on the attack in the second half?
Yeah, this is a weird one to sort of unpack at the moment. I'm trying to think, you know, at this halfway stage of the match, who is edging out on top. And I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Knights. Defending on Chalet, not easy. Their library holds in particular quite strong, and I think they are worthy of being able to even out the half. And whether or not that constitutes necessarily a bit of an invisible lead, it's so hard to say. I would say that maybe they are, but the fact that they're also taking on, you know, again, outside of the forfeit, an undefeated team, it doesn't really look like it. The Knights are well and truly up there, and they're playing strong. Some of their top players that we saw perform last Playday are performing here, like Stigs, for example, and that's a really good positive sign.
It does feel like they're a little vulnerable at the moment, Invictus, that they're not playing maybe at peak efficiency. And for those that maybe think, oh, they don't need to win this game, they don't need to try or anything along those lines, that's, well, that can be further from the truth. You lose this game, and then you're going up against, well, probably a heated Chiefs team in Playday 7, looking to find victory for the first time since Playday 4. So, and you lose that, and then you're out of playoffs. It can all get away from you quickly. So at 3-3 here, there's this sort of fork in the road. Do you win the next few, win this game, secure top 4, or do you bundle out of playoffs? It could happen. And for the Knights, of course, they need to win. They play Direwolves in Playday 7, so they need the 3 points here. As they head to the attacking side of Chalet. First half done, second half, hopefully, can have some fireworks for us.
We shall see. Bedroom first up here for Invictus on the defense. Knights looking for quick control. Libby across, and Quiz will obtain that. Jackal well in tow. Josh down below. He'll be able to scan for footprints, as we can see at the moment. Just make sure that the coast is in fact clear. Stigs, obviously, on the Nomad can provide some flank watch support. Those air jabs, really, really powerful in being able to shut down particular flanks and rotations from the defense. With that all said and done, pretty straightforward, pretty neutral. Oh, Stigs, a narrow opportunity maybe to find the opening kill, but elects not to shoot at all. Instead, let's post up in this position, maybe catch a player later. Knights focusing their efforts on this office wall currently, trying to open up the objective.
I was going to mention we did not see Master Office in the first half, and now that I sort of think, and maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but oh, hang on, Stigs gets the opening kill onto Speakeasy. Because maybe Knights elected to not go there simply so that Jigsaw could not play this piano window position all that effectively. A Master Office, it's actually even more important than any other site to be able to have someone play that position and over towards the solar window as well. So I mean, this is something to think about. But heading over to Master Office, it is generally a site we tend to see on Chalet. But Knights get the opening pick. They've opened up some good sight lines, good positioning, taken control of Library Hallway. And there's still a lot of time left as Hysteric goes down to Josh. You can see that battle happening with the health bars as well as that one too. Nate just gets dwindled down. Mental has half health as well. Quiz has a really good pinch. They can get Juicy to swing and get the kill, and does so. Knights they're gonna retake the lead here. It's only Jigsaw that's left, although it does get a nice Nitro Cell onto Stigs from Solar. 1 versus 3. Jigsaw is a very talented player, but even this might be above him unless he can find a quick one to bring it down to 1v2. Not going to happen. Juicy gets the plant down. Now time is against him.
Really solid round by the Knights, dismantling the defense. Patience and poise really serving them nicely here for their first attacking effort. And now Jigsaw, yes, he's really good, but this retake, even with more players on the board, so challenging. The attackers now can sit back ultra deep. And it's taken half the fuse time for Jigsaw to even get remotely close to that diffuser. And the second he hits it, a player will pop up, doesn't even have to touch it, and that player's already waiting. Really well done by the Knights.
One step closer to getting 3 points for the Knights. It's 1 round at a time territory, heading into the 8th round now. Invictus Gaming, a team that has that asterisk next to them, technically undefeated this stage. As many would consider up there with Direwolves as the best team in the region. You lose this though, and suddenly there might be some fingernail biting going into Playday 7, and that's just a position you do not want to be in. They elude bar games, they elect not to go there, and they head to Snow Wine, and this is perplexing us.
Well, they must have some master plan on this defense. We saw 2 textbook attacks from themselves on this objective. It is such a difficult site to hold. Fundamentally, the walls you can open on the exterior are very hard to defend against. Once they're open, there's nowhere to go as a defender. You are stuck in one of a couple of bad spots and unable to rotate for most of the round. So I don't know what Invictus are going to employ here to try to mitigate some of those issues on this particular objective. Nothing's standing out in terms of the operator selections. Maybe Castle has a play in this. Are they going to be used off-site aggressively? It looks like Asterix is placing them up above, suggesting we'll see a bit of a roam here from Invictus. Will that be enough to counteract a lot of the issues that this site has?
The Twitch poll for this game in particular, guys, was 68% to Invictus, 32% to the Knights. And so far, it's not really playing out to that. It's been a little bit more 50-50. Can the Knights break away, though, and establish a bit of a lead? Oof. You win this round, it's 4 from the last 5 if they can achieve it. Stiggs has been so impressive in leading the way for his team, and everyone else is following, and that's really good signs for the Knights, playing on that team level, looking to get pressure in towards Snow. But clearly, IG playing Snow Wine defensively a little bit better than the Knights did. But Josh in through Garage on the Jackal can start to scan and try and clear out some positions.
It's certainly a much more generic approach here from the Knights, right? They're not necessarily leaning into that Osa, for example, outside Snowmobile or anything fancy. They're not even bringing Maverick on this particular objective, keeping it very straightforward. Bringing the fundamentals that you need. I think are very powerful at the moment with nades taken down, unfortunately. You've got the Thermite, though, for the hard breach, and Josh for the roam clear on the Jackal. Sage makes a play, though, over towards Mezzanine. Could make or break the round. 2 roamers are up above, and he needs to find at least one of them.
Yeah, but he needs to do it quickly. Time is going to be a factor. I know we've still got 90 seconds left in the round, but it's Snow Wine. Roamers are going to be up above, and you need to clear them out. Although Josh says hello to Mentalist, I'm going to take a peek through the doorway and gets a kill back. Big kill to bring it back to a 4 versus 4. Now just that slightly less pressure on getting rid of the roamers, because you can almost let them continue to roam. Hysterics and Jigsaw are not on site, right? So there's only 2 players on site at the moment. You could be able to push onto site, try and overwhelm it, clear out those 2 players, get the plant down, and then make it difficult for the retake. That hasn't quite happened. But now through West Main Stairs, Josh has this position completely locked up. And Juicy actually went in for the play. And it's Hysterics and Speakeasy that deny it almost as quick as it started. The plant got denied, and the round is now over. IG takes No Wine, and we go back to an even scoreline.
Oh, Invictus did a great job in shutting that down. There was a drone that made its way through site just prior to that. I believe it was Josh, and I can almost guarantee he's made the call to on site that's triggered the push. And IG was still ready and raring to go. The players that were on site did their job. There's a super quick rotation from the roamers as well to flood back and sort of fill the back line. And it worked out really well. The Knights went for a pretty, like I said before, pretty straightforward approach. Open up Snowmobile. Didn't really get a foothold over towards West Main, I think, which maybe posed some difficulties for them. And IG maybe proving that that site isn't all that terrible.
Kitchen dining, guys. Still no bar games from IG. We can't even see it at all. It's generally one of the better sites for defenders, and yet it's apparently not coming out. As Jigsaw apparently goes on the treadmill. Goes for a bit of a run.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Run, Forest. Don't think Forest is going anywhere anytime soon, so...
What do you
I
mean?
assume we'll
He just left.
We'll get a rehost. I don't know what that's not our decision, so we'll see what happens.
There you go.
There we go. Confirmation. Rehost. So, bit of a pause in the action. And
Wonder who does
Invictus-
that benefit at a 4-4
Yeah.
scoreline back and forth. I don't know.
I don't think anyone really, to be honest. I would say that maybe if there was a world in which Knights won that last round and IG reattempted or something like that to tidy things
That's
up.
true.
I mean, that's a completely alternate timeline, so no point going too far down that rabbit hole. I would say at the moment 4-4, new site, fresh eyes. Yeah.
I think Knights have been very impressive in this matchup, though, and it leads me to then think, why couldn't we see this in sort of earlier matchups in this entire stage? If you play like this against IG, you're basically going toe for toe. Their teamwork's been great. They're really playing off of each other, and Stiggs is kind of like leading that way. You then wonder, where has this kind of been? Yes, you know, they had a very good result against the Chiefs, but they were decimated by Elevate. Decimated by Wildcard. You know, those kind of results have come back to bite them, but they are at least making amends by taking down the Chiefs and you know, really taking this fight to IG. And for IG themselves, look, it's not stressful times, guys, but it will be if you lose this game. That's the problem. Now, if this does go to OT, I haven't looked at all of the calculations, but as long as this does go to OT, they'd get the 1 point minimum. And I think that probably ends up being enough for them to probably get top 4. May or may not. You know, there's always the little circumstances, but an OT result would be much, much better for IG than a straight loss. A straight loss is not good. Not good at all. And basically ends up forcing that Playday 7 matchup of IG and Chiefs. The winner goes to playoffs and the loser goes home. Which is crazy.
Yes. I mean, it hasn't felt like a regular APAC South stage like last year in the sense that it's always, you know, comes down to like the final game of the final day, but it still is really coming down to these final couple of matches that can still have huge implications. If IG lose this game and then somehow get knocked out of the playoffs, I mean, the world is upside down because they have been such a good team so far, and I guess that's a testament to the rest of the competition really stepping up. Yeah, I just don't envision that as being a possibility, but maybe I'm being a bit too much of an IG simp. I don't know. I think that clearly the roster changes for them, the most aggressive of any other team in the region, have been working out pretty well so far. They are outside of the forfeit undefeated, so can't be too critical in that department. But this matchup, I mean, they're really being pushed. I guess the only other match where it's felt like they've been under this much pressure is probably the Elevate game, where it did end up pushing to OT, and even Wildcard actually pushed them pretty well in Playday 2. Outside of that, it's been relatively cruisy for this roster, so yeah, keen to see how they approach the rest of this match, because the Knights have been on their game, and it probably has been the best we have seen the Knights so far. I think Stig's tweet hasn't come back to bite him. In fact, it's probably actually doing the team a world of good at the moment.
Yeah, and just to sort of finalize some of those playoff possibilities, if the Knights do lose this game and IG get all 3 points, then IG are locked into the top 4. It means the Knights will need to beat Direwolves and break that streak and hope that IG beat the Chiefs. So that'll be how they could still technically get into the top 4. So that's at least somewhat comforting news. It's not good news because it's all of that's kind of unlikely to probably play out, but yeah, big opportunity for the Knights. They're so close as well, guys, at 4-4. And I'm going to say it, but how many times have we been in this kind of position and then one team just goes bang and gets 3 rounds in a row, closes it out 7-4? Seen it countless times. IG is that kind of team to be able to pull that off and go and win 3 rounds in a row and close this one out before you even know it. So Knights need to basically from this 9th round onwards be at 110% if they're to get 3 points here.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on who bounces back faster from that pause in the action. It's the longest pause we've had so far. We haven't had a tactical yet, or did we have one? No, maybe I'm thinking of the last game. I don't know. My wires are getting crossed a little bit. So butt in if we have had one, but yeah, a little bit of an extended break there. Probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes, whatever, how long it was. But you need to just refocus now, completely switch on. The next couple of rounds could be really critical, especially if we do see that trend continue of a team sort of running away with that momentum a little bit and the other team unable to wrestle it back. So we do go back over towards Kitchen. Invictus on the defense, of course. And the Knights, let's see what they've got in the tank.
Pretty standard approach defensively from Invictus for Kitchen Dining, set up above, reinforced that office wall, electrified as well with the Kaid claws. Maverick can play for the Knights, which we can tend to usually see for a Kitchen Dining attack. Finker is going to be brought out, and a lot of reliance on Juicy to open up well, I was going to say both walls, right? I don't know. You've only got the 2 exothermics and you kind of got 2 walls you want to get open.
Well, the thing they don't have to worry about is the impact grenades. That was what was somewhat costly for Invictus, but you can see on the side of the defense, no impact grenades at all. So assuming the utility gets cleared, and that's probably going to take a bit of a control, I think the Knights are probably in a pretty decent spot here to go for a default dining plant. If that's the game plan, I mean, where they're at the moment, positionally would suggest that south across is going to be the play, and that will entail clearing util. A nade from down below should be enough to clear up above. Ooh, Jig clears Sage, but I don't think those nades yet. Chris will now have to come along with his probably to aid Juicy in opening up this wall.
Yes, dual claws are active, and Jigsaw found a Nitrocell elimination onto Sage as well, so not ideal. That one has worked, and now Juicy can get the exothermic charge onto this office wall, open it up. But time is going to be a factor. I hate to say it, but already down to 80 seconds remaining, and you haven't even got side objective controlled yet. Stigs, do you peek this? Do you take this chance? Just holds the angle for now. Sterix over towards Piano, so IG really aggressive positions. Oh, that's clean. One tap, good night. See you later, Hysterics. And Stigs gets one back for the Knights, who has continued to play well tonight. Nade to get rid of these claws. Is job done. And Juicy, with the 2 exothermics, has got open the 2 walls. Well done.
Good efficiency, and straight in for the plant. 40 seconds on the cards. IG need to try and deny.
Speakeasy taken low as well. Tries to get the gas babes out. Plant gets denied. So Juicy falls to Nate. Advantage for IG. One more gas babe still available in the back pocket of Speakeasy, who is low on health.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
How do the Knights salvage this one? Well, Josh just picks up the diffuser and says, I'll have it go and see if anyone will stop me. Gas babe was thrown out, ineffective. It is successful. Plant down. Have the Knights got a decent control up above, though, watching this plant? Stigs is the solo player remaining inside of office. Quiz is down. Of course, cannot get himself back up. Oh! Mentalist has just given Stigs a bit of a freebie, and all 3 players of Invictus are down below. Stigs has an opportunity, a very difficult one though, and Jigsaw wins from below. Sometimes the high ground, not always the best ground.
It normally is, but in that case, it was not. Jigsaw dances between those metal bars to perfection, and IG win a very, very close round. The plant denial from the smoke canister is perfect. The denial on those players trying to retreat post-plant as well, also on point. It was a good effort from Stigs up above. His job obviously was, after getting that one tap on the window, to then hold above and prevent the vertical retake. But unfortunately, the rest of the team unable to get to safe positions, and that nullified his spot up above and in a 1 versus 3 or 4 at the end of that round. Basically impossible. So IG won up their opponents, but the Knights, again, they were so close.
So the Knights take a tactical timeout to see if they can just sort of calm themselves down a little bit here, right? It's okay. We've still got a couple more rounds, don't worry, but how can we respond? Because now 3 of the last 4 rounds have gone the way of IG. suddenly how quickly things can kind of flip from that 50-50 back and forth to, oh, okay, they've won a couple in a row now, and they've got themselves a lead, despite the Knights being in the lead for the majority of this match, or at least edging out on top. Now it's IG that take that lead as we head to bar games for the first time in the second half in what is now a very important 10th round, because technically it's the match point for match point, right? If IG win this round, that's 1 point secured. That means the Knights can then no longer get all three. And we know what that then means, and that means it's a lot harder for them to get into the top 4 for that playoff position. So Knights, I'm going to say it, guys, probably need to win the next 3 rounds in a row, and that's a difficult prospect to believe they can do.
It sure is. That last round, so close, but having a huge ripple effect. Sure, 2 points would be great, especially against a strong opponent like Invictus, but in the context of the stage, it might be enough for top 4, but a single point can make all the difference at the end of the day. We have seen it time and time again throughout 2021, and I can only assume 2022 is going to be quite similar in that regard. 3 straight, very tall task for the Knights, but they've been playing well. It's not impossible.
Should mention 2 points for the Knights is still not that bad. Does get them the head-to-head over IG. The only difference being they would need results against Direwolves if they are to then find victory. I mean, technically 2 points gets them on 10 matches Chiefs, and they have the head-to-head there. So all they would have to do, I guess, is hope for IG to then beat the Chiefs in regulation, and that would be enough. So technically, I guess an OT win's still good. It's just not as good as 3 points. 3 points is phenomenal for the Knights.
2 minutes now on the clock as the Knights scramble to try and mount rounds in response. Good control pretty quickly on the trophy side of the map. To see that transition across quite quickly. They're Juicy actually posting up in dining. Hard breach straight on the wall. Line of sight in towards the objective, cutting off this rotation on that corridor. Not a bad little angle here. Josh converging as well. I like this from the Knights.
Attackers have located a bomb.
This is a free kill if he swings.
Plays the patience card though, and I don't see anything wrong with that. At the same time, the longer you kind of just sit there and wait though, an IG might be able to find something. There it is, as you mentioned. Jigsaw goes down. That's a big player to get off the board. Has been franking out in this game, as Jigsaw usually does, and on Chalet. Feels like it's his home map. And it gives the Knights an advantage to bring this back to 5-5, to keep 3 points alive for the taking. But just under 1 minute remaining as they look to still establish a full library control for that potential drop down late round. Nate, he's just sitting prone on library stairs. Is that going to be a bit of a wild card? Does that throw Josh off the case here? He's going to be looking more upwards rather than downwards. Nate gets off of this position, and now that position is known. And I honestly believe if he had sat there, he might have got that kill onto Josh, but now he doesn't. And Mentalist goes down elsewhere, but Speakeasy gets one back. Juicy on site, going for the plan. Nate just gets caught as well, walking back over towards site. Speakeasy gets rid of Quiz, but now he's got a lot more to do.
No.
He can do it. It is Speakeasy. 3 to the good, but no more. Shut down by Sage. We are 5-5, heading into a very important 11th round.
Stage defining round, playoff defining round, perhaps. This 11th one between Invictus and the Knights. Playday 6. We could be looking back at this one in a couple of weeks' time and wondering where it all went wrong for one of these teams. Good response from the Knights. I really like their attacking approach there. So ballsy, so confident. The Jackal play was great, opening up the round, shutting down Jig. From that point onwards, I think the rest of the team was really lifted. They saw Josh make that play, and then they felt empowered to make their own and ultimately able to win out the round. Great effort from Speakeasy. It would have been an ace clutch, and honestly, I was getting a little bit excited, but then Sage, who got the double from that window, posted up, also having a big one. And it's all going to go down on basement. We've seen IG successfully defend it previously. They're going to go for the repeat.
Yeah, and they did it rather convincingly as well, because they're sometimes winning on a site like Snow White does, and you do it in a way where you're a bit like, oh, okay, they got it, but did they really win it? Well, IG really won it. I mean, Knights didn't really look all that comfortable attacking, and they definitely did not look comfortable defending it themselves. So this might just sort of be an ace up the sleeve here for Invictus going down to Snow White. Knights are going to have to play this, honestly, perfectly. And Josh, oh, I'm sorry to say, there's a lot of pressure on him on that Jackal to clear out the roamers above, to win those fights, and to, what I would imagine, if Knights are to win this, they're going to need to be at like a 5v3, going onto site, having cleared the roamers above, and then hope they can just walk onto site and win the trades.
Stiggs as well, looking at him to step up. Had a big first half. Rehost doesn't reflect that, so the stats have obviously reset, but
No, he's been great.
he's been really good. Good couple of play days from him, the ex-Fnatic member coming back to his old team and really finding his stride as of recent. They need to find this next gear though, the Knights. Invictus time and time again, whether it be this year or last, have always been able to fight. Stage 1 last year maybe being the exemption where they struggled a little bit, but they have always been able to find that next gear, and they never look truly down and out. So the Knights need to try and deliver basically a knockout blow here. Win this round with confidence, roll that in to the one after, win this in regulation, bolster their chances of making the playoffs. As for IG, they need to find a response. They've won this objective once before, they need to do it again.
Yeah, and they're not giving the Knights much. It seems as if it's like a 4-1 split, 4 on site, and then you've got Hysterics roaming around on the Frost upstairs, being a bit of a nuisance and playing into the Jackal of Josh and just making it difficult to be tracked down. Oh, timing is everything, isn't it? The peak from Speakeasy there for that split second. Quiz was vulnerable, but he manages to stay alive. Juicy's in, by the way. That's going to be the smoke denying vision here. It might just get this plant down. If he does so, that's going to make it so difficult for the retake now of Invictus. Trade 1 for 1, that's fine. But it's all about the retake potential when you got the outside play for the Knights. Stiggs wins that fight. There was another team kill. What? Jigsaw got rid of Mentalist. You don't want to be doing that in a late round execution. Sage and Juicy watch from the outside. Stiggs is low health. Hysterics library stairs wins the fight against Stiggs. Now it's a 2 versus 2, but they have to find a way to clear both players outside. 15 seconds, and Juicy with the angle gets the double kill for the Knights. They get match point against Invictus Gaming.
Huge round. The Knights playing it to perfection in the post, and you can see their smiles. Their plan worked out perfectly. The cross, especially at the end, to prevent any chance of the retake. So well played. Again, highlighting the weaknesses of that site. And it all goes back to one just slightly misplaced canister. That smoke, I don't know how it wasn't quite hitting Juicy. Must have just been off the mark, but he was able to get that plant down. No denial. And once it was stuck, the round basically locked in there for the Knights. And this is huge. If they win this round, it absolutely turns the standings on their head.
Yeah, the repercussions as well flow on to the Chiefs, essentially, right? They're sitting back watching and praying that the Knights do not get anything more than just the 1 point that they have achieved. If Knights win this round, Chiefs are out of the top 4 tonight, guys, going into next week's game against IG. And basically, the winner of that game goes to top 4, loser is out. That means IG, if they lose this round, and I'm assuming we'll get another rehost here, or not you know, whatever, a little break here. If IG lose this round, guys, believe it or not, from undefeated to potentially missing top 4. No way.
I can't believe it was probably, I think it was like last play day, I was kind of pushing the narrative that, oh yeah, the top 4, bottom 4, it's kind of pretty split. Like, I don't think it's going to change all that much. And I don't know why I ever thought that was actually going to be the case, because APAC South there's just something about it. It's just a mystical creature. You cannot make any assumptions or it will bite you in the backside. And wow, incredible to think that it could come down to that game. Imagine Invictus v Chiefs, Playday 7, for playoffs position. I mean,
I should mention,
we thought IG Divers was going to be the match of the stage, I tell you what.
Oh, true. Well, I should mention with that, right, since we got a little bit of time, for this. If Knights do win this round, then they get the 3 points. They'll go to 11 points, which will be tied with IG. Of course, they'll have the head-to-head. And Chiefs on 10 points drop to 5th out of the top 4. The only way that Knights then actually drop out, and this is on the presumption that Elevate beat Fury, which you would imagine, the only way Knights would then drop out of the top 4 is if Chiefs win in OT. Because a Chiefs win in OT puts them to 12 points. IG would get 1, gets them to 12 points and away from the head-to-head, and Knights lose to Direwolves and get nothing. They would then drop out. So even winning tonight is not a given, but what are the odds that Chiefs win in OT against IG? I mean, that is kind of a long shot. It can happen. Don't get me wrong, it can happen, but it's a bit of a long shot. So getting the win tonight does put them in good stead. It also does mean if Knights at least get 1 point against Direwolves, then that's top 4 secured. So it puts them in a really good spot. For IG, though, I mean, that is a stressful situation to be in, Guz. To think about if they lose to the Chiefs, that they miss top 4 off the back of the stage that they've had, the hype around this team, the absolute state of the hype around this formidable roster. Many saying the best roster maybe in all of APAC. The team with the biggest fragging potential to miss top 4 would be shambolic.
Look, purely from an unashamed entertainment bias standpoint, the Knights winning this is the best result. Just purely from an entertainment standpoint.
Clearly, you just don't like IG.
I don't know about that. I've been riding the hype train as much as anyone with IG. Yeah, I just love the fact that it could come down to the final Playday, and the fact that it will be IG versus Chiefs, the two teams battling it out for that spot, right? There's no other outside factor. There's no other result that it's going to depend on. It's just two teams head-to-head fighting for their spot at the playoffs, to fight out for the major, to fight out for 6 invitational points. I mean, it is just, it could be absolutely crazy, but we're not quite there just yet,
Not just yet.
The Knights still have to win this next round. There's been a long pause after that last round.
Yeah, it's and again, we've had this, I think, for the second time now in this particular matchup, and in this particular case, I still don't know who that favors going into this match point round. Do IG get that little breather, denying the momentum away from the Knights? Do the Knights then start overthinking things, especially being on the attack? IG will just play a pretty standard bar games defense, hold the right ankles, standard shields, top library, mezzanine, chimney, all of those things. So they don't have to really think too much into this, but does this little pause in the action cause the Knights to just overthink this match point round? 3 points on the board, on offer, up for grabs, to put them on 11 points, and to technically, guys, put them in 2nd place going into the final Playday.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Crazy. I love APAC South. If you guys don't like APAC South, you don't like Siege.
I would tend to agree. Go back to bar. Last time the Knights attempted their attack on this site, they were just sniping defenders left, right, and center. It all started off with that basement lurk, and it really just progressed more from that point onwards. Different lineup though. No Jackal, instead the Lion. We also haven't seen a lot of Maverick. Stig's going to play that hard breach this time, so that would suggest that we might see basement again. Use the Maverick to clear backstore, for example, weaken that position. But it's certainly a different approach here from the Knights.
I will say, if IG win this round, they'll go to 12 points. It's then hard pressed to seeing 12 points being knocked out of top 4. So massive for them. Of course, if they can still come back and win in OT, that actually confirms top 4. So by no means out of it just yet.
Bomb located by attackers.
So much on the line for both of these two teams, and I don't think IG were prepared for this kind of battle and desperation that has been needed for this particular game, and Knights have just really brought their A game. Stiggs has been tremendous in leading from the front, but everyone else has been on equal footing for the Knights. Nate, Jigsaw, and Speakeasy have been tremendous, of course, as well for IG. It's been a pleasure. And it just kind of feels like, is it coming to an end though? Josh, does he find an angle? No, doesn't find anyone. But at least they have that position of backstore now opened up.
Minute 30. The Knights not able to get that quick, snappy opening pick like they did last time, so it's going to come down to the trade game late. INVICTUS still have really good positions, particularly up above, that haven't really been dislodged. Hysterics at Mezzanine, for example, poses a threat, particularly on the retake. He's been cut off though, so Quiz is up above monitoring that. Stiggs as well, bot library stairs, he can cut off a rotation on that hallway position once he progresses forward, and Josh probably looking to probe front door once more. Quite split at the moment in the Knights, but each player has a very specific role, a very specific part of the map that they are looking to get control of, and Juicy desperately wants to vault in, get that plant at half wall, but he just can't do it yet. The path, it isn't safe, and time now becomes an issue. 45 seconds remaining, and here we go.
Oh no, are they just all going to funnel in big window? They get the trades, they've now got an advantage. It's 4 versus 3 on the scoreboard. 35 seconds, Gas Babe out from Speakeasy. Jigsaw comes in to try and see if he can land some remonstrating shots as Stiggs gets rid of Jigsaw. It's happening. Knights now have a big advantage, but do not count the combination of Nate and Speakeasy in a 2 versus 3. Plant not down yet either, and that is actually the biggest part of it. Quiz surely loses. No! Speakeasy could not confirm the shots. Knights win! Knights win against INVICTUS! All 3 points secured into the top 4 with 1 Playday to go. And all I'll say now, guys, IG versus Chiefs, Playday 7. Put that one in the calendar.
Oh, I'll be circling that one in some fat red text because that is going to be the match of the stage, 100%. The Knights started off slow in play day 1, but they are now full steam ahead. That is a massive, massive win. A really good effort, particularly through that second half. They had to battle so hard against that match point for INVICTUS. They needed all 3. They ticked that box. And that is just set us up for an absolute barn burner next play day. I cannot wait.
That was nail-biting finish. The funnel in through a big window. Cuz how many times have we seen that fail? Player on games is able to get like 2 kills. Plant then gets stuck halfway to half wall, and then the round's over. No, somehow Knights pull it out. They get the win against IG on Chalet. All 3 points. It now puts them onto 11 points into 2nd place, and the Chiefs are out of the top 4 with 1 Playday to go. And we go back to the desk.